Community is everything. We're proud to support ours. Through partnerships with fellow community leaders and organizations, we're helping our neighbors access essential resources and services so we can all thrive. Learn more at bofA.com/community.
It has been my honor over the 13 years that I've had here in Michigan in the role that I have, that I love, to work with two incredible leaders in various capacities over this time. It is our great fortune that these two incredible leaders were also chosen by Governor Whitmer to chair the Grow Michigan Together Council. First is my friend, the current vice chair of the Board of Governors at Wayne State University and former president of New Detroit, Shirley Stancato. And my other friend is Ambassador John Rakolta, the chair of Walbridge and the former ambassador to the United Arab Emirates. John, Shirley.
Good morning. And no, we didn't call each other this morning to see what we were going to wear, so we saw the big item. But really glad to be here, and just want to say that over the past 6.5 months, really almost 7 months, it's been my pleasure to work with John and all of the members of the work group and the council members to be able to provide the report that we provided to the governor about growing Michigan and growing Michigan together. So.
Good morning to all, and let me just echo what Shirley has said. I think it's only right that we acknowledge the people that really were behind us and did the yeoman's job and all of the work. And first, I want to really congratulate the work groups. Almost 80 people put in a lot of time and effort to create this report, and I hope that you all download it. It's available publicly, and you actually read at least the executive summary. Secondly, the council itself, 21 members were asked to serve. I want to thank Shirley. She was an incredible chair along with myself. The governor's staff, Hillary, Maggie from PSC and the entire PSC staff. And then finally, I think we need to give a shout out to Governor Whitmer. I never would have believed a Democratic governor would choose me to head one of her commissions. It takes a lot of trust and some kind of commonality in terms of the direction we want to go in. And I asked her, when she asked me to serve, how much rope I would give or get. She said, you can have as much rope as you can handle, which I thought was a very big thing on her part, and she's a very courageous leader. And so with that, Shirley, I want to ask you a couple questions, if you don't mind. I think it's a good way to start this off.
I'll ask you a couple, too.
That's true.
Okay, good deal.
The council's original assignment included the requirement that it be work data driven. What general observations do you wish to share about the data that were collected? Something that the audience would not generally know.
Okay. Well, Sandy did a good job of talking about the data, but for me, the aha moment that really began for me was when Marty Vitanti, who is the head of Invest UP Upper Peninsula, he was the co-chair of the Jobs, Talent, People work group. When they first made the presentation to the council, and he said that over the past 25 to 30 years, the Upper Peninsula has lost 48% of its K through 12 students, and in one area they lost 80%. And I was like, why do we not know this? That was the beginning of us beginning to pay attention and say, we have to really, really, really take the time, and John and I talked about this, of defining the problem and talking about how serious it is. Sandy talked about jobs and the importance of jobs. The other thing we talked about is wages. 6 in 10 jobs now in Michigan pay below lower middle class wages. Before, in 1980, when asked across the country what are the top 10 places, cities really, for higher wages, 5 of those were in Michigan, and now none are in Michigan. Sandy talked about that. When we saw data that told us that only 30% of the 4th graders in the state, not in Metro, in the state, are proficient in reading and math. we were again taken aback. And so we looked at this data, and really it helped to inform the recommendations that came out of the work groups and helped to inform us as we voted on what are the kinds of things that we need to do to make our state competitive again, as Sandy said. It's serious. We really didn't realize how difficult it was and what a difficult pull this is going to be for all of us to work together. But again, data-driven is what the governor asked us to do. Data-driven is what we did. And so I'm excited about the fact that our recommendations came from us looking at that data and thinking about what we can do to grow our state, not just to have people come back, but to those of us who've decided to stay here, what we can do to make our life even better. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, aside from the obvious, and we talked about obvious, what are your 2 big takeaways that may not be obvious in the report?
The first is that we will be the first state in the nation that will increase our prosperity without population growth. While population growth is a goal, it's a long ways off. And today you'll hear a lot of reasons why demographics just aren't in our favor. Think China, think Japan, think Germany, think Italy. So that's the first thing. But all's not lost, because the second thing that I saw is that Michigan has the ingredients, all of them, innovation, the smarts, the people, the desire, at least in the general population level, to in fact solve this problem. And all we have to do is bring a level of urgency to it that we are pushing, continuing to push everyone in the state, every power center that there is, and this goes way beyond Lansing, that can actually make a difference and force things to happen. So let me ask you a second question.
Okay.
Another of the council goals was to work in a bipartisan manner. Are you satisfied with the council's efforts in that regard?
Well, really, I'm really beyond satisfied. When you think about the fact that of the council members, there were 20 council members, Republicans. We really can come together on that. So really, I'm very proud of that.
Great.
Now, so where do we go from here, John?
Well, I think that there's really 2 things that we have to look at in terms of going from here. First of all, you've heard all of this data so far, and this has been going on for 70 years. And my question is, where has been the urgency? And there hasn't been any. And you have to ask yourself, why? Are we satisfied with having $6,000 per person per year, less than the national average in income? Do you realize that if our population had stayed the same in terms of percentage of the national population, we'd have 2.5 million more people and close to $4 billion in additional tax revenue today without touching the current tax structure at all. So creating that urgency, this is a great start. But I hope this isn't the only thing that ends up happening. Yeah. And secondly, I hope that the governor, and she said she would, take this report very seriously and begin to push her counterparts in the legislature on both sides of the aisle to step forward, even though this is an election year, and begin to pursue the recommendations that are on here. And then finally, I'll challenge you again, you have to read the executive summary of this to really understand what's going on. With that, we want to thank you very much for your participation today. Both Shirley and I will be on stage again. She's going to stay on stage right now to get more in depth, along with Hillary and Lloyd Jackson. And again, thank you very much. And Shirley, okay, I'll give you your chair, and I'll exit.
Thank you for your attention.
Community is everything. We're proud to support ours. Through partnerships with fellow community leaders and organizations, we're helping our neighbors access essential resources and services so we can all thrive. Learn more at bofa.com/community.